یا ابوالفضل این چه این شکلی شد؟ چه مثل هیلان صدام؟ الو؟ چقدر دیلی داره شیت صدا یا ابوالفضل این چه این شکلی شد؟ ما که نفهمیدیم چجوریه داستان چیه. جوجه خودش میدونه جوجه خودش میدونه خود خدا خود خدا خود خدا. English. Have you played this Stanley Parable before? No. Please adjust the Stanley until the computer is really visible. Really visible? Well, it's really visible now. اینجا نباید فوش بدیم ها. Please enter the current time. اوه میخوای ریال لایف ما رو چیز کنی؟ هفتو جوجه خودش میدونه خود خدا خود خدا خود خدا. Confirm. I am confirming. Accessibility still can be accessed from the main menu. Okay. Okay. Field of view, camera view, language, English, show subtitle on, audio, video, borderless, make it full screen. زندگی کارمندیه. داستان چیه؟ زندگی کارمندیه. زندگی کارمندیه. بابا این چرا قد شد؟ بس شو. کسی نمیاد؟ کسی من دوست نداره؟ هیچ کی من دوست نداره؟ ما که نفهمیدم. The end is near. The end is never the end. The end
is the story of a man named Stanley.
Oh?
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
زندگی کارمندی.
Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard.
Hacker?
Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order.
زندگی ماتریکسی.
This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
خوبه باز. مثل ماتریکس مثل ربات.
And then one day something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Oh! Nice. من دیگه این ماتریکس خلاص میشم. من دیگه توی ماتریکس نمیمونم. Open the door. Open the door. Open the door.
All his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
اینترنت ها رو قطع کردن. کسی دیگه نمیتونه کار کنه. اینترنت ها رو قطع کردین. چرا بیرون این شکلیه؟ من کجا من واقعا تو ماتریکس هم انگاری. یادم فیلم سریال
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference. nor did it advance the story in any way.
چرا با کلیک راست راه میره؟ این چه سیستمی؟ Open the door! Open the door! زندگی ماتریکسی. آجی همین چی یعنی واقعا با کامپیوتره؟ Open the door! Open the door! من ماتریکس بریم بیرون. ماتریکس.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
اگه ما بریم راست چی میشه؟
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
No, I didn't want to do that. I just want to... فقط میخواستم سرپیچی کنم. سلام علیکم.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
چرا این اتاق خفنه؟ چه هیچکی نیست؟ من تنهام تو این کارخونه.
Yes, really worth it being here in the room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Open door on his left. اگه من نرمی تو چی؟
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
من دیگه نمیتونم برگردم. What؟ آجی اینجا چرا این شکلیه؟ کجا من کار میکنم؟ این شرکتیه؟ دیجیکاله؟ سلام علیکم. من راه اشتباه اومدم. آجی گرافیکش هم خودمونیم بازی ایندی.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me. I'm asking, this is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life.
چی دوست دخترم؟
She's been waiting.
دوست دخترم؟ با یه دختر باعث میشه از زندگی ماتریکسی بیای بیرون. You stupid.
That's her, Stanley.
دوست دخترم. Answer the goddamn phone. چی شد؟
Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
انقدر مثل برده نشستم کار میکنم هیچکی نمیخواد منو. از زندگی فراموش کرد.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
What? Good morning, employee. Press Y on your keyboard.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
I'm a loser.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
I started to be a slave. بردهداری مدرن. من چراغو خاموش کنم. بردهداری مدرن. ای خدا. I don't want to be a slave anymore.
But in his mind, he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown. fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
زندگی من این هر روز من میرم سر این شکلی همش رسیدم.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly. So, he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold. As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable. It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
من اینو قبول دارم و یعنی واقعا من از ته وجودم اینه این کار احمقانه، ولی پول لعنتی از کجا در بیاریم؟ این پول لعنتی، اون پول بردمون.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
What should I do? I'm not pushing it.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Ninja.
I suppose I
Do
can't
اینجا.
I want him to, but I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to.
حالا 2 دقیقه نذاریم تو.
Perhaps, well, maybe this time you'll see. Maybe this time. And
کامل ببند.
And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
بازی کرش کرد یا جزو بازیه؟ What؟ چی شد؟ نمیذارم بفهمیم چی بشه دیگه. میاد ای بابا. آجی اون موقع ویندوز نبوده، کامند میزدن.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Salam. Where is the meeting room?
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
آجی نگاه کن، من کلیک چپ رو میزنم صدای کیبورد میاد، یعنی معلومه نشسته سر جاش فقط داره توهم میزنه. اینا تو مغزشه. Okay, we are going to the left. Now what? کسی که به من دست میدن خوشم نمیاد.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
آها فکر کنم داره زومی میکنه. بعد نوین واقعا چه خیلی پاورپوینته. Monetize free to play. Shift global market. Okay. بالا یا پایین؟
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
خب اگه ما بریم پایین چه اتفاقی میفته؟ چه اینجا قرمزه؟ هه! ریش
But
فیلیکی.
Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went?
You breaking the fourth wall?
These rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating?
تو لوب کی
Maybe,
کردیم؟
Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming! He yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground.
دارم پرواز میکنم. لوسی دریم.
Soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought.
این تنها باشین اتفاقا میفته.
And wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams. The truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
That's weird. You still stuck here.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
What the hell is going on?
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
زنشه؟
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk.
What?
And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
What the hell? What the hell? Oh my god. مردم بازی از اول شد. Wait a minute guys. داره استریم میشه. خب نه داره میشه. خب خوبه.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
خب این دفعه درست میریم. این دفعه اگه بگه بریم چپ ما میریم چپ.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors,
Okay.
he entered the door on his left.
پلارم میریم بالا دیگه پایین نمیریم. اول سرپیچی میکنیم.
Yet there was not a single person.
این خیلی باحالت. کم حرف بزن. Do enable images all the time, every day with no expression or promotion or agreement. Don't get fired. How to start with this with a co-worker.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
یا برفض چرا شبیه خونه شاینینگه. اوه چه اتاقی داره. خیلی نامردین مردی که. عجب کاشیکاری. عجب درایی. حاجی گرافیکش خوبه ها. عجیب آنریل انجینه. خیلی واقعی گراتوریه. یه جوریه.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him, and so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
چند بود؟ نگاه نکردم. آقا چند بود؟
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
2845.
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code.
دارم ماتریکس رو پیدا میکنم.
Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
دارم ماتریکس رو پیدا میکنم. دارم از ماتریکس میام بیرون. کجاست او؟ اینا CIA اینا اهرام مثل اینجا ما رو تو ماتریکس نگه داشتن. ما رو ماتریکس بیاریم بیرون. این دیگه چیست؟ چه اتفاقی داره میفته؟ We are going to the rabbit hole. داریم وارد رابیت هول میشیم. داریم رازها میزنه بیرون.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long. Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
کنترل مغزها. فرار کنم یا برم اونور؟ اگه فرار کنم چی میشه؟ We are going to run.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Seriously? Let's go then. Let's choose our
The door
death.
behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
No, I just want to die.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
من مرگ رو میپذیرم. من از ماتریکس با مرگ میام بیرون. همین؟ What? آجی بازی داره ترسناک
As the
میشه.
machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man.
نجاتم
So
بده.
he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell. Sayonara. Allahu Akbar.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated, as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
چه اتفاقی داره میفته؟ من میترسم.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
ما دنبال این بودیم ماتریکس بریم بیرون با مرگ خودمون. اسم بازی استنلی پارمو. چه بازی فریکی یه جوریش میشم حاجی. اگه توی این حالت مثلا 4 تا جامپ اسکیر و محیط ترسناک هم مینداخت دیگه خیلی وضعیت ناجور
When
میشه.
every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
کمپانی که بازی ساخته چه این شکلیه؟ اینا همش شو بود ها. ما از افتر لایف ماتریکس دیگه واقعا ماتریکس اومدیم بیرون. چه کردیت داره بهم نشون میده. بابا من نمیخواستم بازی تموم شه. یاد کارخونه هیلام میافتم. حاجی بهترین کیبوردهای تاریخ این ایکس پی ها داشتن. این بازی مزخرف هم بازی میکنن. ایمپلوی دیتابیس. سلام. این ور چیه اون ور چیه؟ چقدر اوپن ورده یا ابوالفضل. اینجا چقدر فریکیه.
Stanley pushed the number 6. Now then, this elevator for sure will get him right back on track.
You shut the hell up. ترسناک شد. یه جوری بود در این قسمت میتونید تصاویر به لینک های مورد نظرتون شخصی چی میگه؟ چی میگه آج آقا؟ چی میگویی داداش من؟ داداش من لینک دونیت حمایت آخه کی میخواد به ما دونیت کنه؟ کسی مگه براش مهمه؟ کسی براش مهمه به نظره؟ نوت پد. آقا ما رو میشه زنده کنین؟ میشه ما رو زنده کنین خواهشم؟ دونیت معذرت میخوام یه لحظه وایسی. حمایت مالی. اگه منو دوست داری بگو، بگو منو دوست داری بگو. حمایت مالی. خب ببینم میریم اینجا، اینو میریم اینجا، اینو میریم اینجا، اینو میریم اینجا، اینم میریم اینجا، سیف میکنیم، میریم اینجا، اینو میزنیم. آفرین. دونیت. عالیه عالی عالیه. داشت هر کی هست نگاه میکنی دمت گرم. اوکی آقا. فقط من چیزی چت میتونم بخونم. من چت رو نمیدونم چیزی بخونم. من به نظر چیزی چت رو میتونم بخونم. صدا چیه؟ اوه چه همه مانیتورهای مزخرف دارن. تو مانیتور خفن داری؟ میشه منو زنده کنی؟ من غلط کردم.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another?
ناخودآگاه داره با هم حرف میزنه.
Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two.
یعنی
You can
چی؟
stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let
بازی داشت بهم دستور میداد بازی ریست کنم. اگه منو دوست داری چقدر تو این آپارات در و داف ریخته. مثلا این چیه این در دافیه؟
از اون وزر میاد.
و بدون حجاب هم نشسته و کاریش هم نرم. 535 تا ویو داره میگیره. جالبه جالبه جالبه. نه خیلی جالبه. من
how they both wish.
من واقعا جالبه. چیش بازی از اول
All
شد؟
of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Memo. من خوشحال شدم 2 نفر تو
When
لایو هم
Stanley
دیدم اون
came
یکی.
to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk.
Okay, we understand.
What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
چون این بازی فریکیه یه جوریه من میترسم بینیدون من وایسی من برم بگو چه اتفاقی داره میفته
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control.
خب ما فرار که نمیتونیم بکنیم پس خودم دارم خودمو کنترل میکنم مثلا میخواد بگه ما خودمون فری ویل نداریم ما هیچ وقت اراده آزاد نداریم مثلا ها
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
ما دارن ما رو کنترل میکنن ها دارن ما رو از بالا میبینن
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
ما رو زیر نظر دارن ماتریکس ما رو زیر نظر داره نه این چیه این چیه اینجا قطعه دوربین این قطعه فقط 528 اونم که اخراج شده اونم که معلوم نیست چیکار کرده ما رو زیر نظر داره ماتریکس همونجوری که ما رو الان زیر نظر دارن موقع اختشاشو
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
سیستم ما رو داره کنترل سیستم ما
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
چیکار میخوای بکنی؟ چقدر باحاله چه مانیتوری داشت اینجا گیم بزنی مسخره بازیه چیه سرور رو بخوای قطع کنی What's happened?
and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over?
Was it over? Was it تموم شد؟
Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved.
تموم شد؟
Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold?
دارم ماتریکس
But
میام
as
بیرون.
sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand,
But to let go. Oh.
no longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing.
ما اینو میدونیم.
Stanley
پولو چیکار
stepped
کنیم؟
through the open door.
پولو چیکار کنیم؟ ما که اینو میدونیم. من خودم هر روز اینو میدونم. میفهمم بچگی هم بهش فکر کردم. پول لعنتی.
Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
تموم شد بازی؟ فکر نکنم. چه اتفاقی ده؟ الان واقعا یه تموم شد؟
Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
چی؟ پارانویا هم داره حاجی. فکر می‌کنی یکی داره دنبالش میکنه. میگه اگه میتونی بگیریش. ها؟ یکی منو زیر نظر داره. الان چی شد؟ الان من یعنی آزاد شدم؟ That's it؟ چی من زیر نظر داره؟
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
حاجی رایت رفتیم چی شد؟ چه اتفاقی افتاد؟ الان دوباره تو لوپ قرار گرفتیم یا نه یه چیز جدیده یا واقعا بازی تموم شد؟
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
واقعا اینجا چیزی نیه؟
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
یعنی چی؟ یعنی دوباره تو لوپم؟ دستشویی. To be rich is to be rich. Is it crime to commit crimes? Is it rich? What a life it would be to have to pick just one. خب من میتونم پیپی کنم. Extreme bathrooms time. زمان خیلی مهمه. زمان. Now what? اوه میگم راه های دیگه میتونم برم. در میتونم واشه. فکر کردم وا نمیشه. بیزنس سگمو نکش. دونالد ترامپ کی؟ دموکرات. اگه بخوام برم بالا چی؟ بالا یا پایین؟ میریم بالا. حاجی اوپن ورده بر راه ها رو واکنیم. آهنگو استنلی. چند طبقه است مگه؟ کجا داره میره؟ بابا اینا فکر کردم من دارم میرم. آجی این چه دافاییه تو آپارات؟ بیا در دافا رو نگاه. اونلی فنزای اسلامی می آپارات استریم میذارم مردم هون میان لاک میان.
در هر صورت ممنونم. مرسی برای دونیشنت. بابا ممنونم. مرسی. سپر میدونید مدل دقیق موستو بگی چی دقیقه چی؟ یا اگه نمیتونی نشون بده شاید از روی عکس.
چی میگه؟ این چرا وا نمیشه؟ ایسکامون کردی؟ مسخره. استریم اسپایدرمن هم چرا پاک کرده؟ بابا ما رو اسکال گیر آوردی؟ Are you serious?
The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take. Too much for any man to take. He fell to his knees.
Half
moans, half
4
sobs.
5 من اسم یه کد دیگه هم روی این هست.
In such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk. That kind of anxiety isn't healthy, so he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
What? چه اتفاقی داره میفته؟ عوض شد. مکانیزم بازی عوض شد.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Open the door! چه اتفاق؟ من چه غلطی باید بکنم؟ What the hell should I do in this home? قطعا یه چیزی داره که من پیدا نکردم.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door.
اینجا که میمردی.
Control facility.
ماتریکس بیا بیرون.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
Escape us from the Matrix.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building.
We saw this. We saw this.
The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen. And Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never. It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded in this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
We understand. How can I open the door? Console disable. Disabled. صدای چی؟ این یک کده ها؟ این یک و دو چیه؟ جی کد داره آجی. I cannot understand the code. I do not understand it. How about this? Where is the code? Where is the code to my useless life? این در اینجا چی با میشه؟ اینا رو بعدا من بشم یوتیوب ببینم، ولی یوتیوب که نریم داشت من یوتیوب یخته کی کردم منو ماتریکس بریم بیرون. این دفعه میزنیم yes.
And when at last he found the source of the room's... Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you?
Yes, I did.
They kept you enslaved all these years. You go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left.
No!
I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not?
Thank you.
These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbers.
Oh!
No, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button. Or this door.
صفر پنج دو
Something
یک
here will save me.
صفر
Do
نریم.
you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is?
نه.
Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom...
بابا این دکمه رو باید چیکار کنم؟
Just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count, or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
آجی مرگ همینطوریه یوسف سیاه میشه. من چه غلطی با بکنم تو گیم لعنتی. این چه گیم عجیبیه.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room to check on his co-workers. He never functioned well by himself and constantly needed support and guidance from others, so the thought of total solitude was terrifying to him.
Open the door, let me in.
Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office. Stanley clicked on literally every single door in the office because he doesn't pick up well on cues from his environment.
چی داری بهم میگی؟ چی؟
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
نمیدونم. داستان جدید؟ What the hell are you talking about? Then what the hell are you talking about?
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers. After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
DLC.
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Mesmerizing. Okay. Now what?
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or... Oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I have have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Content.
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
What the hell. ما رو وسیله خوشون کرده بازی ها خود کریتر. Okay, now what? Now what?
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
Right? There must be something else, right? What?
Goodness. Another elevator.
Another elevator.
I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could counter 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh wait, there's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
What the hell are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? Huh?
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar.
Nice.
Don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
What the hell are you actually talking about? Oh, همه چی فرق کرده. ساختمان جدیده؟ Open the door. I hate Monday.
Stanley, come over here. In the vent.
Okay.
I want to show you something.
Okay. Yeah. Nevertheless.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
ایستر اگ انداختی؟ بازی سیف داره؟ الان من اگه بخوام بعدم بیام چی؟ الان مثلا من باید برم جایی نمیدونم.
I call it the memory zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC. You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally
تو
launched?
استریم
Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
audience award جدی ایوه The British Academy of Film and Television Arts بهش چه خود جایزه گرفتن جالبه فایرفاکس قدیم این شکلی بود آجی ویندوز 7 A trip down memory lane small because it happened demo go outside don't play for 5 hours 5 years shit این چیزشه مثلا اسمش چی بود مخه من اچیومنت بازیه اچیومنت بازی اینه که مثلا 5 سال بازی نکنی بعد 5 سال مثلا میتونی بازی پلات کنی نیویورک تایم The New York Times New video game released today چه جالب یه بازی ساده هنری چه کارا میتونه بکنه بریتیش اکادمی اوارد استوری نامینی شده نامزد شده نامزد دیبات گیم شده نامزد گیم انویشن شده ولی خیلی چیزه یه حس میکنم یه چیزی استنلی پارابل these tough choices حس میکنم باید یه چیزی داشته باشه من حواسم نبوده نمیدونم
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now
what?
It's nothing.
Now
It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Now what? شاید حکمتی توش باشه این فکر کنم این پارتش فقط داره میگه آره ما چقدر خفنیم و فلان و اینا بابا هو کسی براش مهم نیست فقط خواهش میکنم the person of the year چه جالب جالبه فرش ایرانی آجی تاجر فرش باید بشیم ناموسن
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com.
The
Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone. To spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
Okay. The greatest wealth is memory.
These were simpler times, Stanley. what I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again.
What's the point actually? I don't give a actual the serious room. Can we just play the game? Can we just please play the game? Now you open the door.
Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here? Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Review Steam.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did, but maybe it wasn't. Oh dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure, like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered. What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have. Here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people, and if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably until the end of time, at which time everything all at once. So now you see, we've eaten too much and it can't be just yet. No, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say, the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably... Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are or were or will be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever given your great gift of mortal and yet timeless thought? Or rather, do all of the choices you've ever made in fact make you more not this kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite? You see, it could in fact be both of these things at once, that you are both making choices and not making choices, and that they are both affecting you and not affecting you at the same time by virtue of the fact that you both are and are not making them. Okay, at first I was leaning towards
فریویل اور
but now
داریم یا
I
نه
circle around
همش
and
جبر یا
slap
اراده
a
آزاد
treatise label on this one. I think it has much more of a treatise vibe to it. But wouldn't you say that manifesto just has a much grander sort of tone? It has a mouthfeel that is rich with ambition and history. Ambitious history, if you will. Ah. See, now you've gotten me going back to manifesto. Heavens, at this rate, we're going to be here all day. Okay, look, I have a method for exactly this sort of situation, and I do find myself in this situation frequently. I'm going to say each word back and forth in repeated succession until I become sick of one or the other, in which case the word I am not sick of shall be the victor. It is an unimpeachable strategy, Stanley. It's rescued me from disaster in countless situations. All right, here we go. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Treatise, manifesto. Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review, merely because of this very situation. Yes, I think that's quite likely. Or perhaps they'll simply grant this particular user the ability to change their review, so that the feature is not widely abused. Look, I would even be okay with Steam altering this particular review so that it reads as something more beneficial. Something along the lines of, this game is the best game. Let me start over. How about this? From the ashes of depravity rises the phoenix of quality.
چی میگی 3 ساعت؟
Welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait. How do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. All I want is for us to move on and to please step away from the skip button to go anywhere. Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone.
چیکار کنیم؟
I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times. And there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button. And if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long... Oh, Stanley, look back. Look back. My goodness. Someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks.
اینو پژمرده شده.
Here all that time, just sitting here, not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real. Maybe I'm not just a fiction. Was I scared of that all along? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps I've been scared this whole time. That if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and be consumed by it. I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in the stretch of emptiness between you and me. When you press that button, you're still right there, but I know you're so tremendously far away. And in those moments, the emptiness folds itself outward in between the two of us. Oh... Hello, it's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days. Months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation. Anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced entirely from the...
ساکت شد بالاخره خفه خاموش شدی برده What the hell is going on?
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability, it's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes! It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people, because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the collapse of ourselves.
چقدر حرف میزنه.
Reflection of humanity.
دو خط نوشته.
What a shameful mirror to the human spirit they project. I'm not mad. I'm not mad about any of this. I'm at peace with it. I am the calm center of gravity around which these perversions hurl themselves. I am a waypoint for reasonable and collected discourse.
بابا منو بیار بیرون، گی کردم اینجا.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the
داره آب چکی میکنه از سقف. سقف نشی داره. اوه what the hell. داشت میشه در رو واکنی؟ help us. اوه آخر زمان شد. حاجی تکامل جدی همینطوری ها، یعنی مثلا میبینی انقدر باید این مدت ها میگذره مثلا گل و گیاه همینطوری میزنه بیرون یا چیزای جدید میسازه همینطوری. داداش حالت خوبه؟ دارم میترسم. اوه داره ترسناک میشه. چرا بالاخره خراب شد. فریدم. اوه کجا باید برم؟ دکمه خراب شده یعنی؟ What the hell? What the hell are you talking about? Oh. Shit.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Oh, good. You noticed my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
تکراریه بابا مگه میشه بعد یه چیزای دیگه باشه بذار حالا بعدا من میام
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
اینو نرفته بودیم ها آره اینو نرفته بودیم
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
این چی دیگه چه اتفاقی داره میفته دقیقا من اصلا what's the point
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
What the
No, it's to the right, my mistake. No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please? Now, let's see. Down, right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
منو کجا داری میبری اوه
No.
Spoil them, Connie.
You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
یعنی
All of
چی
his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Oh my god
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did
چرا
something
پنج تا دره
Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
کجا برم چه اتفاقی داره میفته چرا میز شد میز رانر What
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Oh my fucking god.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
There's nothing here. What the hell are you talking about?
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes.
We are in a
No,
loop.
wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Huh?
Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time, I have to restart. All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
چه اتفاقی داره میفته دقیقاً من نمیفهمم.
You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood. Cut the music, go back and look at that fern.
Fern? What the hell is fern?
Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Fern چیه؟ I don't know what the hell are you talking about.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
What the hell are you talking about? Oh my god.
No, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
Oh my...
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction? Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to
به
be?
دیوار میخوریم.
Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it. Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine. Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits. Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending?
Jo, aber fast.
And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really? No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay.
Shit the fuck.
I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination, so I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
I seriously don't understand the point of the game.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. The lounge was sublime, a work of art. What was but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it.
این دوباره لوپ
Considered the
میشه.
possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical... All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley went around touching every little thing in the office, but it didn't make a single difference, nor did it advance the story.
Oh, good. You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Is it a loop again? چرا سمت چپ نمیریم؟
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra-deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra-deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2. Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think all the new territory will cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
Nice. آفیسمون آپدیت شده.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
چه خفنه.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Merch! The button that says the name of the player that is playing the game. It's a crack game, so I don't think it's really going to. این چیه؟ این ور چیه؟ Epilogue.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Jim.
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now?
Jim.
Whoa, hold on. I wasn't finished setting up the backstory. If you don't properly roleplay as Jim, then you'll never understand the impact of this button.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's just a stupid button that says somebody else's name. Okay, we're doing it again, and this time let me finish first. Now, allow yourself to become Jim. Imagine yourself driving to work as Jim, playing frisbee on the weekends as Jim, staying up all night for a popcorn and horror movie sleepover as Jim, developing a crippling substance addiction as Jim, rediscovering yourself through fringe religious groups as Jim, and finally dying a slow death at an old age surrounded by members of your cult as Jim. Do you feel it in your soul? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button.
Jim.
Yes! You see! What a thrill! What a rush! That was you! The button described you. Do it again.
Jim.
Ooh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
Jim.
Whoa there, cowboy. Sometimes a person can be too much Jim. I'm putting the Jim button away. Otherwise, soon you'll start to lose all sense of who you actually are.
یارو یه قسمت ساخته که بزن رو دکمه بگی جیم. Well, go to the gym, you loser.
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature. An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out later.
What? چه اتفاقی داره میفته؟ اینم نساختی یعنی؟
You know what? Let's bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well. It's... Oh, wait. You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle? Oh well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece then.
Drake این چه شکلیه؟ Oh my god, I'm getting tired. منم بودم از اونا بودم که منفی میدادم بهت چون میدونی اضافه کاری کردی.
I think that in the new version the office could use a bit of decoration like balloons, but I'm undecided on get well someday and happy 12th birthday. Which would you go with? You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step-niece, it is. Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No, I've made my decision, we're moving on. Come now, you've already made your choice. It's true that you chose badly, but we all have to move on from our mistakes. A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical. that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I am happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect...
چی میگی؟ یه جا که یه دکمه زدی هی میگه جیم، اینجا هم یه دونه باکت گذاشتی.
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
راست نیستم میگم، با کسی حرف نمیزنم. دلشون خوشه.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
یا الفاظ این چیه؟
Collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
چرا فریکی شد؟ اون چیه؟ اینا آدمه؟ یا ابوالفضل؟
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
این فکر نکنم به درد ما بخوره، چون این بازی کرکیه.
Now here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes, you see, you'll come to this lever and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
یعنی چی؟ یعنی چند تا دور گذاشتی بعد میگی هنوز کامل نشده؟ خب واسه پوینت اصلا چرا گذاشتی از همون اول؟ چرا پول دادی مردم؟ حالا من که پول ندادم، مردم پول میدادن که عصبانی میشدن.
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
این چیه دم دستمه؟ خدا سوراخ.
Here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is in fact a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite falling. You can fall until the end of time if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium. You see, isn't it wonderful? One of my more ingenious concoctions, if I do say so. Now then, since you've gotten to see the infinite hole, you can press the teleport button to pop back up to the top, and we can continue onward.
Now,
I don't mean to be a bummer, but I do recommend you use the teleport button to go back to the top. Maybe do it on the sooner rather than later spectrum of things. Okay, Stanley, I don't know quite how to say this tactfully, but it's possible that I slightly exaggerated the infinite nature of the hole. Is it a very, very deep hole? To be certain it is. It's an extremely deep hole. I don't want anyone to say that it isn't an astonishingly deep hole. It is. Is it infinite? Well, that sort of depends on your definition of infinity. From one perspective, the infinite is merely philosophical in nature. It's more of a... Okay, well, good for you. You found the bottom of the hole. You found me out, Stanley. I'm a liar and a cheat, and you're so... Look, I think the issue here is just that you're unusually fascinated by falling. What normal person actually wants to fall infinitely? I figured the hole was as deep as anyone would actually need. Don't you put this on me. Maybe you're the problem. Look, things got a little heated there. I think we both said some things we didn't mean. Why don't we just put all this behind us and agree to just call the hole mostly infinite? If that works for you, then go ahead and press the teleport button to warp up to the top of the hole and we can move on. I'll just be up here when you're ready. Great. Now, I'm very excited to show you even more of my ideas for the sequel.
آن داره در مورد سیکوال حرف میزنه. یه دوشو میخواد بسازه تازه یا چی نمیدونم. به بالا هم که نمیشه رفت. Listen, I don't give a actual. این لعنتی هم که نمیشه فوش شد. چرا مسخره است واقعا. بابا این باکته چیه دست من؟
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now? So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on, let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first
ولی
game.
نتونستی شکست
I wanted
خوردی.
fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
اوه منو عوض شد حاجی. what the fuck is going on? what the hell?
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
کلیک تا اسکیپ هم گذاشته.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427.
جدید
All
شد.
his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
اینا هم اضافه کردی ها. این بالونا رو هم اضافه کردی.
Stanley felt the bucket calling to him, begging him to pick it up. Why was he not doing it?
Where's the pocket? Oh!
Stanley picked up the bucket.
چه مسخره بازی اسکول. این همه هر تایم بذاری.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
آخه من نمیدونم دیگه چه راهی هست. یوتیوب نریم آخه لعنتی.
Still no one was here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find answers. Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
چیزه کو.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Money in the morning, money in the evening, money for breakfast. Money crisp. یه جا بود آسانسور داشت یادمه اینجا بود فکرم وا نمیشه دیگه.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life.
شاید یه کلی دیگه داشته باشه.
Revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the pin number for the keypad was 2845.
هنوز همونه یعنی چیز تغییر نکرده.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
چه استنی این شکلیه؟ شبیه کارمنده نرمال میمونه.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
ای بابا این که هنوز همونه.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Still the same shh.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with...
We already know about this.
What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine. Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place?
فریویل بازی دنه، فصل بازی دنه.
Raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
بازی که قطعا یه سری رازها داره ولی نمیدونم.
When at last they came to the... Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest
enemy. همون اندیگه فقط باکت هم پیش منه.
Of the evil mind control machine, freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support, and to... What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed? An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
What the hell is going on actually? Oh my fucking god.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Nice. رای دیگه نره. این چی اینجا؟
Good, said the bucket. Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him. And he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
What is this place?
No, stop. Look there on the wall. You see, there's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point. Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if
چی
that's
دارم
true,
بازی
well,
میکنم؟ وقتمونم چی
I
تلف
think
میکنم؟
we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment. Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin.
چی آخه یعنی چی؟
Item 1. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 2. Is this a bucket? Correct. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket.
خسته شدم دیگه.
Item 4. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket. To be
Tractor.
honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. This is a bucket. Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha. Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Okay, you and I both know there isn't anything here. And I don't appreciate the implication that nothing is a bucket when we both clearly know that a bucket is something, and therefore nothing could possibly be something. Unless, in your twisted mind, have you somehow convinced yourself that a bucket is nothing? Answer me straight, Stanley. Do you believe that nothing is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket?
داری
I
دیوانم
answer
میکنی.
these questions with confidence, and yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry, but I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go. What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait,
Cause everything is a
bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person. All right, here we go.
بازی سیو داره. خسته شدم واقعا. I'm not that touching that button anymore. The sequel is now paused. Okay, I'm tired. Goodbye.